Hey everyone, welcome to my kitchen. I'm wearing pink because today we're making some candy and we are celebrating National Candy Day, Chocolate Candy Day, which is December 28th. However, we've been seeing candy all year, ever since Halloween, Thanksgiving, and everywhere you go at the Christmas time. And then we'll have Valentine's Day coming up, followed by Easter, followed by more and more and more. Sugar, 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 it's everywhere. So today we're actually making something really unique, very, very simple. So, I'm a functional and integrative health coach. We like to get to the root cause of disease. We're finding that food makes the biggest difference, diet and lifestyle, to all disease that anyone can have. And when you are more mindful and more empowered in your kitchen, making an effort, your health will improve dramatically and quickly. So my inspiration is to get people back into the kitchen and just learn a few things. And you really only need to know a few things. I am the creator of the bioenergetic cooking method. It looks at energy in living systems, how food as energy applies healing information to all areas and functions and organs of the body, exploring recipes that do that. In the back, though, hot pink is the color that I use for my energy treats. Now, we need to have alternatives to desserts. You watch me here on my channel recrafting desserts. I've been making them since I was young, getting bold and recrafting and cutting down the sugar and making desserts about energy, not about sugar. Okay, so we need to get away from the conventional bakeries and baked goods. Those are driving the type 2 diabetes, driving metabolic imbalance, driving fatty liver, all of these things. And we can do it because we still need to have a treat. We still need that dopamine and ways to go. So we're going to be exploring today, though, the difference between carob and raw cacao. I use raw cacao. I love it for many reasons. I did a little deep dive into both of these so that I could showcase for you the difference and the benefits of utilizing them. Carob is not as popular right now. And raw cacao I use in many of my recipes, my $1,000,000 chocolate cake, my double chocolate vegan zucchini brownies, my hug in a jar, which is my chocolate avocado mousse. And I love it for many reasons that we'll go into. So the carob tree is native to the Mediterranean region, whereas 70% of the production of raw cacao is in Western Africa, different regions. So here now, Portugal and Italy and Turkey, they represent 60% of all the production of carob. It's been around for thousands of years. So I'm going to give a shout out to my friend Michael as early as the 1970s, and he was part of this whole, he likes to call it the hippie food revolution, when they were utilizing carob and spirulina, new things that mainstream didn't really pay attention to. We were into, right, the hamburgers, the hot dogs, the Cheetos, the potato chips, and they didn't have as many brands as they do now. The 80s and the 90s really picked up all snack foods, but the health foods craze started in the 70s, and they were replacing the refined cocoa, because when you refined cocoa removes those antioxidants, removes the benefits and the minerals, adds in sugar and other things to it that makes it not as healthy. So we're going to explore all of that. But he was a fantastic leader in 1992, starting his business. And you can see here chunks of energy. This is one of his top sellers, which is carob and spirulina. And I love the blue algae spirulina, utilizing it many ways. But he was a leader in the energy snacks. And today, his company, I'll put a link down below if you want to explore. but just brilliant what he put together. So thank you, Michael, for inspiring me to look into carob and also for helping me to get a large amount so that I can start making things with it. And this carob candy that we're going to make today, so stick with me. It's very, very easy, and that inspired me to make that. And I've been making other things like a carob balsamic dressing. So you're going to find out why it's so good. So it's a family-run business, Chunks of Energy. You can check that out. Wonderful. So we are going to break from the education, and we're going to start putting this together. Now, when I make recipes, I like to keep them nice and simple. And this is a date that I don't buy for the medjool dates. I buy more often, but this is a date we're going to make it to a date paste. We're not going to use all of this for this recipe unless you up it, but we're going to use at least half or at least a third of it. The rest you can freeze, and you can keep the date paste to make either nut crust with, or energy balls, or more of the carob candy in the future here. So we're just going to add all of this to a saucepan. I also have one that is copper core, so that's a good one too, because everything, the heating is even. But we're going to add all of that, and that is 12 ounces. So 8 ounces is a cup, so 12 is a cup and a half of these dates. And what I like to add, this is my secret ingredient, is a vanilla bean. I'm going to add that to it. And it's so strong that once this is done, you can just pull it out and save it in the refrigerator and go from there. And we're only adding in a half a cup of filtered water. And then we're going to let this simmer down until it's nice and thick, stirring it a bit. And that is it. We're not adding any extra sugar to this date paste that we're making, because dates are naturally sweet, filled with good minerals and a sugar that is not refined. And this is one of the best sugar replacements. If you catch my video, Sugar, the Good, the Bad, the Ugly, I talked about dates and why I like them. So we're going to get this on the stove. So I'm just going to turn it on medium, high. And once it starts boiling, then we turn it down and let it simmer. So while that is going, let's continue. So the recipe is just going to have carob, date paste, and walnuts. How easy is that? You blend it together in a little bit of coconut oil. I do add perhaps a little bit of sea salt. And then you just put it together in a food processor. We're going to roll it out, and I'm going to show you the end product. Now, let's go back, because understanding why carob is so amazing and that raw cacao is preferred over cocoa, and why it is, this is really important for you to get, because you want to have both of these in your toolboxes. But there are some big differences here, and we're going to get into those. But both cacao and carob have numerous health benefits for you over cocoa. That's all I knew growing up was cocoa, Hershey's cocoa, right? Stripped, though, of all the nutrients. And today we are concerned with what? Cellular health. That is where longevity is driven from, cellular health. All function and all dysfunction starts at the cellular level. So we must pay attention to cellular health if we want lasting health and being free from disease, free of the fear of cancer. So cacao. So here's the funny thing with this, going back, the Latin name given to produce the cacao beans with the food of the gods. So it was a drink in Aztec. The Aztec Emperor was drinking it. And of course, the Spaniards wanted this. Now, the way that they pronounced this was K-A-K-A-W, cacao. Cacao, right? So the Spaniards renamed this into cacao, spelled C-A-C-A-O, and that's what we're using now today. And I didn't know the difference, cacao. We only knew cocoa growing up, but there's a big difference here, and it's the way that it's raw, and it's the minerals, and it's the antioxidants that are in it, and that's why you want it raw. So cocoa, though, is fermented, it's roasted, it's ground, it's stripped of all of the nutrients that they have, plus it's added sugar because cocoa is bitter. That's one of the big differences between carob and cacao is the bitterness. And that's what drives all the candy bars to have sugar added. Even the 85% is going to have sugar added. And that's why you see me, I buy the raw cacao chips from Pasha brand, because when I'm making a dessert, it's got natural sugar. I just want a pop of the dopamine producing raw cacao. Okay, big differences there. So the top concern today, like I said, is cellular health. We need those raw antioxidants in the colors that we get. And when they talk about raw chocolate being good for you, the problem is that people are still getting the sugar. They're also getting the caffeine. So cacao, the polyphenols here, the flavonols and the flavonoids, okay? Polyphenols are a group of, and the flavonoids are a group of antioxidants. You're going to hear these words. All you need to know is that the cellular bodyguard, that is what your antioxidants are, protecting you from oxidative stress, keeping your DNA intact and strong without destroying it. This is what we're constantly is going on in our bodies all the time. And we need daily doses of antioxidants. Vitamin E, vitamin C, vitamin A, those are big. And the foods that have all those, I have in my book. And it's the colors of the foods, the oranges, the deep reds, the deep blues, okay? Flavonols here, the epicatechins and the catechins are like in green tea. And if you've ever heard Dr. William Lee get excited about stuff, he is the doctor trained at Harvard, and doctor was producing drugs, and then he went into finding out how food actually heals the body. So he gets excited about the catechins in green tea, but the raw chocolate also has similar antioxidants. These are anti-inflammatory. Everything that I do is bringing inflammation down in the body. That's why I stay away from gluten and dairy in particular. There's other inflammatory things like all of the inflammatory oils, but these are why we need these antioxidants and supporting good gut bacteria. That's what these flavonols do as well. So carob also has flavonols and flavonoids. They have the catechins and gallic acid. Quercetin, just like onions, very strong with that great antioxidant. And the catechins. Anyway, there's other ones there. They're anti-inflammatory. Cellular protective, that's what you need to know. So both carob and cacao have plenty of really amazing antioxidant properties and antioxidants to really help us out. Now, one of the other biggest difference is caffeine. So carob does not have the same stimulant. Nervous system stimulant, central nervous system stimulant. The most popular one today is caffeine. So it's $1 billion industry. And it is not building cellular energy. It is not giving you energy. It's the energy you steal. It's the energy that's driven through your adrenals. And so it is not a productive energy, no matter how much they try to drive this home. When it comes to coffee and caffeine, there's a lot of things about coffee that we need to watch. Mold-free, mineralized, organic, many different things, but not everyone can handle that much caffeine, and it does stress our adrenals, and it does interfere with sleep and also your anxiety level. So some people just have a little in the morning. If that works for you, great. I don't need caffeine. In fact, I feel better without it. Occasionally, maybe once a week, I have some clean caffeine. So adenosine. So adenosine is the thing. What happens with caffeine, it keeps it from binding with the A1 receptor in the brain, which is keeping us from feeling that natural fatigue that promotes sleep at night, But what this adenosine does, it keeps it from binding. So the nervous tension comes and anxiety builds, but it keeps us awake longer. And that's what caffeine does. But it's the adenosine that is the driving factor here that is getting interrupted. It does not provide real cellular energy. Remind you of that. The energy drinks are not real cellular energy. It's driving your adrenals. Adrenal fatigue is not a healthy thing. They sit on top of the kidneys, and they can be very problematic for women, especially going through menopause. So this is a brain-produced neurotransmitter. There's a reason the brain produces this, and it's produced throughout the day, builds up so that we can relax at night. The brain processes it at night so that in the morning we can wake up feeling refreshed. But what happens with the caffeine-aholics is that they're not waking up really refreshed, and they need more and more and more to feel refreshed. And so the what else is going to happen here? Yeah, these stimulant addicts, they don't wake up refreshed. They're running for their cup of coffee. Now, I wake up refreshed and energized. I run for my lemon water and my cayenne in the morning, and I have plenty of energy. So you must watch out for that. Energy comes from the greens. Energy comes from your mitochondria. That is where energy is derived, not the adrenals. That is the energy that you steal. Okay? That's what I mean. You have to keep getting more and more. It's a vicious cycle. So you keep blocking the adenosine each day to wake up. So you need to keep blocking it. So it's a constant cycle. And you're also driving cortisol. So driving of the cortisol leads to poor digestion, muscular tension, migraines, and insomnia. All right. So yes, caffeine and coffee in small doses can be helpful. Some people can process it much better, but you must be mindful of that. But that's also what cacao has in it. It has that effect on the body. So some people can't have it. So carob is a great alternative. But the mechanism for carob is different. And that's why they utilize it to drive insulin sensitivity. The mechanism for energy is the Pinitol. Pinitol, pronounced Pinitol. So D-Pinitol is a way for the muscles are influenced by this. And what it does is it helps to intake your glucose. Glucose can provide energy as long as insulin is working properly. It's just when we become insulin sensitive, resistant, it's not getting into the cell so that we can produce the energy inside the mitochondria, the ATP. So energy metabolism during exercise can be improved. So that's why carob is really, really helpful in that regard. Now, this Pinitol is also found in, and this is why they say that lentils and beans are helpful to people with diabetes, type 2 diabetes especially, and they're trying to get more insulin sensitive and stay full. Lentils and garbanzo beans high in that. And that's because the carob is a legume. It's in a pod. Beautiful trees that produce these. I'm smelling the vanilla right now, so I can tell that this has come to a boil, and we are going to reduce this down to 20. The smell of a vanilla bean is to die for. Oh my goodness. You're going to love it, love it. And so what did I forget here? Blood sugar regulator and assists with insulin resistance. So that's helpful. But just by taking carob, you're not going to fix your insulin resistance, but it's helpful in replacing and giving you that dopamine type of feeling from all of that. What also is going to help is to utilize proper fasting techniques, which I also help out. So the difference between cacao and carob, what are some of them? Cacao is higher in iron, it's higher in in magnesium, and it's higher in copper. It's 12 times higher in magnesium. So it is a really great source of magnesium. We know that. And it's got natural caffeine, and it's naturally bitter. Remember though that bitter to the mouth, sweet to the stomach. So bitter items like bitter greens, dandelion, raw cacao, it does have lots of benefits. It's the caffeine though that can get tricky, and the need to add a lot of sugar, because America's sugar palate and around the world now is very high. We need to bring that down. Getting used just to the beautiful taste of fruit without added sugar. That's why when I made that blueberry compote, my new recipe, barely any sugar in that. Using a small amount of, for a huge bag of blueberries, small amount of raw coconut sugar, and the Remy Martin cognac, which is reduced down, adding in fresh herbs. So once you get your palate fixed, everything works better and your dopamine receptors can get reset. Carob is going to be higher in fiber, 3 times the amount of fiber as raw cacao, 3 times the calcium as raw cacao. It's going to be higher in folate, which is a vitamin B9. Vitamin B9, folate is important for the liver and metabolism and the metabolic process of changing toxins into water soluble. Also in energy metabolism, folate is super important. So very, very good there. Naturally sweet, so you don't need that much. And you don't need to add much sugar. I don't need many dates to make this taste delightful. And there's no nervous system stimulant. Instead, it's utilizing and helping the body with the uptake of glucose. So that is really good news. We're going to be making what's called, I like to call my chocolate lava log, but it's made with carob. All right. So it's just carob, the dates you saw, walnuts here, a little bit of coconut oil, and we're going to process it in a food processor and then roll it. It's amazing. And we will be back when the dates are done. If they've got to simmer down at least a half hour or more, I'll let you know. We'll be right back. Okay, guys, let's get these delicious lava logs completed. These are examples of the deliciousness that gets, you can store them right in the freezer and they're so amazing. So much satisfaction, not a ton of sugar to lay down. So these dates have been simmering for over 30 minutes and they're nice and soft. We're going to take the bean out before we get the before we get it all mushy. We're going to do the nuts first in here. You can roll them in some of your leftover walnuts, but I actually like to roll them in some pecans. So first I'm going to do the pecans, like about at least a third of a cup. And we'll get those ground up and then we'll set them aside in a dish because we're going to roll the log. Really great to have a food processor because it makes everything easy. Otherwise, you can put the nuts in a bag and hammer them out. But you see how quickly you get them broken down here? So now we're just going to set these pecans to the side. You can also put them in a little baggie, a Ziploc bag. I think you've seen me do it before, and use your meat tenderizer. You see these are rolled in the nuts. Just gives it a little extra texture and a really nice look. Now we're going to be getting in at least a full cup of the walnuts in this recipe. I buy raw or organic walnuts. I don't buy them in bulk because they will oxidize. I use them quickly. I keep them sealed in a glass jar, nice and neat. So 2 big handfuls, usually about a cup. You can measure them out if you want. I am not. So, great. I'm gonna do the same thing with the walnuts. We're just gonna blend these up. Doesn't take long because walnuts are soft. We're gonna add them to this bowl. And next up, we're going to be taking the vanilla bean out. Let me try to find it in here. Here's one part. We're going to save it. Vanilla beans you can buy. They're in, I get mine at Whole Foods. You can get them online. And they last. So I'm just going to put those in a baggie, put them back in the refrigerator. But the whole kitchen smells amazing, like really rich vanilla. So it's going to give these a great taste. You know, vanilla gives an extra sweetness without adding sugar. Now we're just going to add the dates to this. We're going to blend them up till they're nice, turned into like a paste. We did not add any sugar. Dates do not need extra sugar added to make the paste. Okay. And then we're going to store the extra that we're not using for this recipe. It's already into a nice paste. Smells so good. Right, fantastic. You see this beautiful date paste that we have now? Now we have this to utilize for other things. I'm going to be right back because I'm going to get us a jar to put this in, the extra. Okay, so I took a few minutes just to tidy up, but I love these wide mouth jars. This is actually an Italian one, but perfect size to put the extra in. So I measured out at least a half a cup. I think it makes a little over a cup, but at least a cup when it's all blended down here, the paste. So let's just get the extra into the jar. Otherwise, you can just measure out a half and then leave the rest in here because we're going to be adding it back. But I'm going to get the nuts back in here first. So now you have some paste. This paste can be used with other nut recipes that I have. I have several energy ball recipes. I have several crusts that I make for my vegan cheesecakes that the crust is actually like an energy ball. Those are divine. They're made with soaked cashews. So there's a lot of uses for this. You can find some other ways to utilize it. Very, very healthy alternative for sweet treats to utilize the dates here. All right, we've got it all together. If it gets on your finger, you can just eat it off. Right, this can be frozen if you're not going to use it right away. No worries. Okay, let's get this gem back on. We're going to get the walnuts back in here. We're going to add the, I'm actually going to add the carob to it first. And I need a quarter cup. Okay, get the cover back on, my delightful canister. And I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of the Himalayan sea salt in there. We'll get that all blended in, the dry stuff blended in first, and we're going to add in the date paste and a little coconut oil. We don't need much. We'll see. This is only the third time I've made this recipe that I created. So, all right, this is looking really awesome. Now let's get the date paste added in. So these little spatulas are great because you're able to get everything out. And you can flick the rest there. The process is to get thick and turn into a ball. Looking really great. I'm going to add a little bit of the coconut oil. So you can hear that it's already doing that. Stop it. Okay. So we already have a ball forming, and that means that it's nice and smooth, and we can now blend it into the logs that we're going to roll. So we're going to use wax paper. Let's put all this stuff inside here. All right, you always want to have wax paper in the kitchen, just like parchment paper. Whoops, I'm almost out. Okay, I have just enough for this project. So let's get a little bit of this out. Okay, here's our dough. 3 ingredients, so darn cool. I'll get the rest of that out after. What I want to show you is we're going to be rolling this into a log. So all we do is we're just going to kind of start it into a log, and then we're going to have the wax paper help us. And then once we have it formed, I do this with my cookies as well when I am doing my $1 Million chocolate chip cookies, and I want to put them into a log so I can slice them into chunks and keep them in the freezer. So just roll it and kind of squeeze it out into a little bit of length here. Okay. So now we have a nice log. It's like nougat. That's why I'm calling it lava. All right. So these are some of the pecans. We're just going to roll and press this into the pecans. See how easy this is? So this is a new take on those nougat pecan rolls that are so sweet, filled with high fructose corn syrup and a bunch of other stuff that's not great for your liver and your body and your insulin, et cetera, et cetera. So this is how easy this is, and they are done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let them firm up a little bit in the freezer, and then we're going to cut them. They're a little warm right now because the date just came out. So you can opt to cut them now into slices. Just use a sharp knife like this. They're actually, we can cut them now. And then I'm just going to add some, whatever size you want, but about a ½ inch is great. If you just want little bite size, you can do it like a smaller one here, but I like to get them about a ½ inch. And that gives you a nice little candy size. So this makes a good amount. And you can even dip the rest in there. So I'm going to put them in this little glass container to be frozen. But here we go. Fantastic. Little yummies and so easy. So you're going to want to try that. I'm going to put the link below for my friend Michael and Chunks of Energy, so you can check out that wonderful family-owned company that's been around since '92. So that's just fantastic and wonderful, wonderful. So I hope you enjoyed this little education on the benefits of carob. I truly have not tried anything until now, and just fantastic ways that you can enjoy an alternative to raw cacao. So I hope you enjoyed that, guys. I hope you stayed with me. Give me a thumbs up or share my videos. I love that. I love your comments. If you've ever had cacao, let me know. And my balsamic dressing with cacao is divine too. I just actually use carob instead of the buckwheat honey. So there's many other ways. I'll be exploring many ways to use it. Bye, guys.